presented by Seat77.com. As always, Dave Dabbah is coming to you live from the Super Plus Seat 77 broadcast studio in the heart of Silicon Valley. Now, Dave Dabbah.
Good afternoon, North America. I am Dave Dabbah, and thanks for joining us on the Dave Dabbah Big Show for a Thursday. Oh boy, producer Buck, have we got a huge show for everybody today. We've got the Gronk Party Ship. I can't wait to talk about that. Steph Curry is starting to shoot and make 45-foot jump shots like he's a video game. Mike Mayock of the NFL must be smoking weed. Phil points out the obvious and says Tiger Woods has owned me. And Yoenis Cespedes likes waffle so much that he handed over the keys to his Lamborghini to a Mets employee to hunt down a waffle maker. All of that and more on today's super big show. Oh my gosh, producer Buck, it has been a fantastic week so far. This is week number 3 of the Dave Dabbah Big Show. And we want to thank everybody out there for all of their support. It's been fantastic. Send us your emails, North America. We don't care if you're in California or South Carolina or Canada, which is part of North America. Send us your emails. We want to hear from you. info@seat77.com. And of course, subscribe to one of the fastest growing sports podcasts on the net at iTunes. So subscribe to the big Dave Dabbah Big Show at iTunes when you have a chance. Okay, so a fantastic show for everybody today. I thought we would kick today's show off with, and we've talked about this so many times on the show in the first 3 weeks, but it's hard not to actually talk about Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors. It's just unbelievable. Look, when Steph Curry starts draining 45-footers on a regular basis, I'm just saying, maybe the NBA should think about installing a 4-point line. Steph, I'm telling you, producer Bug, Steph draining 45-footers on a regular basis is as demoralizing as hearing the bell for a last call when you're hanging out in a bar in South Carolina. First, it's last call. You're at a bar in South Carolina, and it's like the players of the opposing team facing Steph know they're done for the night. It's unbelievable. Steph is amazing. Last night against the Miami Heat, I think I saw him drain 3, not 1, not 2, but 3 45-foot three-pointers, which possibly could be 4-pointers. Now, it's unbelievable. Now, I don't know, producer Buck, if you heard, but Steph, a golfer sometimes, had a chance to play Augusta. Klay Thompson, a little bitter about not being able to play Augusta, but Klay is going to go to Harry Potter land. Go ahead and play the audio from Klay.
Yeah, I'm excited to get to Orlando. They got the new Harry Potter land. That'd be kind of cool. I don't know if I'm ever gonna my free time go there. So to be able to go there on the Orlando trip would be a pretty good time. And I would have. I'm kind of jealous we have to go to Augusta, but it's always fun from Miami to see.
So I don't know if you heard it, but towards the end, he says that he didn't have a chance to go to Augusta. But he is going to Harry Potter land instead. Anyways, listen, video game basketball is exactly what the Warriors are playing. Tell us what you think. Do you think the National Basketball Association should create a 4-point line? I mean, why not? I think it would be really interesting. And what I'd actually like to see the NBA do is actually test it out during some of the upcoming preseason games. And it'd be very interesting to see how the game changes if they actually do put in a 4-point line. Hashtag NBA 4-point line 2017. Go ahead and put that hashtag out when you have a chance. Anyways, so a lot's going on in the world of sports. We are going to cover the Gronk Party ship. That will be our main story of the day. We'll be getting to that in a little bit. I'm not sure if anybody else out there saw this, but this was a couple days ago. Now, I'm a big fan of the National Football League, as everybody knows. I'm a huge fan. I love it. We've got the Spandex Olympics going on this week. Yes, it's the NFL Combines. It's the Spandex Olympics. And it's funny, the number one thing that you want to watch for in the Spandex Olympics is the 40-yard dash. And it's amazing. You just take a look back, North America. If you look back at the list of the fastest runners from 5 years ago, how many of them are still in the National Football League? And the answer is probably like one. Because the fastest players don't actually succeed in the National Football League. Sorry, Al Davis, but it's true. Al Davis would base, producer Buck, I don't know if you remember this, but he would actually base his draft picks on who was the fastest player in the NFL Combines. And then he'd pick that wide receiver, and then he'd pay him, and then the wide receiver wouldn't pan out. Look, one of the reasons the Raiders almost didn't pick Tim Brown is because he wasn't the fastest player in the National Football League. And look where Tim Brown has ended up. Anyway, so Mike Mayock of the NFL Network, I swear, he must be smoking weed. Seriously, producer Buck. Look, Seat 77 and the Dave Dabbah Big Show are based in the heart of the Silicon Valley. We are in the land where the term 420 was created. We know all about it. And I have to say, when you start hearing Mike Mayock give his explanation for why he believes Carson Wentz, that went to the powerhouse that is North Dakota State, it's not even a Division I school, and Mike Mayock is comparing Carson Wentz to Andrew Luck. So if you do have a chance, though, I do recommend taking a look at some of the Carson Wentz video that is out there, because he does look pretty impressive. The thing is, Mike, Carson's going against, like junior college talent in whatever division he's in. It's like, it's not as if he went to Cal or Stanford. The competition level matters. People can look really good in the Arena Football League, Mike Mayock, but do we see them in the National Football League actually succeed? Other with the one exception, which of course is Kurt Warner. So Mike Mayock, I think, is smoking some weed as he compares Carson Wentz to Andrew Luck. It's ridiculous. Info@seat77.com. Tweet us at Seat77 app if you would like as well. We want to hear from you, North America. Okay, so producer Buck, real quick. Yesterday, my wife, she had some sort of thing going on her foot. So she made a doctor's appointment. She went to the doctor's appointment, and then she sent me a text and said they're giving her a shot, to kind of get some of the to actually take care of the foot, because it was swelling up a little bit, and we weren't sure why. It's not major or anything like that. At least we don't think it is. So anyways, they give her a shot, right? And so we went to dinner after, and I could tell she was a little loopy. It looked like she had like a couple cocktails, but didn't say anything. We got home. I had some prep work to do. I had a chance to watch a little bit more of the Warrior game. Anyway, so I went to check on the wife. I'm going through my 2.5 hour routine where I start putting all the cats and the dog and the hamster and some of the kids to bed. So I'm going through my routine. So then I go and I check in on the wife. and I walk in, and she's lying in bed, which she does. And she sees me and she says, "It's too bright in here." So here's the deal. The lights were actually dim. She then proceeds to grab a squirt gun, which we're using on the new kitten to prevent the kitten from doing things. Then she says to me like 5 times in a row, and I'm not joking about this, "It's too bright in here." So then she reaches into her purse, actually almost falls off of her bed, reaches into her purse for some shades. She grabs the shades, she puts them on, and so now here's my wife, who's a fantastic lady, in bed with shades on, and she's got a squirt gun in her hand, and then she yells no a couple times, and she attempts to squirt the cat who is hanging out on her desk, getting into some sort of trouble. She misses the cat, producer Buck, by at least 25 feet. And what does she hit? She hits my big screen TV with water. So that's my wife's story from last night. By the way, much better this morning and doesn't remember any of it. It's true. Doesn't remember a single thing from that at all. Okay, so a couple other quick stories for everybody today. Listen, Seat77.com has gotten an update. Do check it out when you have a chance. And subscribe, Producer Buck wants me to tell everybody, to the big iTunes channel. We are making a push. We actually made it into the top 100 sports podcasts yesterday. So we're on the move. Let's keep the momentum going if we can. Anyways, so Phil Mickelson, lefty, points out the obvious as he says, Tiger Woods owned me. Look, lefty's comments about being owned by Tiger are equivalent, I'm telling you, lefty's comments about being owned by Tiger are equivalent to the landslide win Obama pulled off in 2012. Seriously, sorry, Phil, but you will always be Tiger's Mitt Romney. Look, if you remember back to the 2012 election, it was like 300, I think, Producer Buck, 330 electoral college votes versus like 206. Obama crushed Mitt Romney. And that is exactly what Tiger Woods did to Phil throughout the majority of his career. Now, Phil, in an article on SB Nation, actually then goes on to say, and he goes back and he takes a look at the first 10 years of their head-to-head competition, and he says, yes, Tiger Woods owned me. And then he goes into, basically the last 5 years, and he says, well, I've owned Tiger. Look, Phil, everybody has owned Tiger over the last 5 years. So anyways, it's really always interesting to hear Phil kind of talk about Tiger Woods. He did have this nice quote, though, and this is a quote. Phil Mickelson contends that none of today's younger golfers, not Jordan Spieth, not Rory McIlroy, not Jason Day, and not Ricky Fowler, can carry Tiger Woods' jockstrap. Nice use of words, Phil. Look, Phil, you will always live in the shadow of Tiger Woods. There's nothing that you could do today to get yourself out of the shadow, short of winning 4 majors in a row. Tell you what, Phil, win 4 majors in a row and we'll pull you out of Tiger Woods' shadow. It's really kind of sad, though, because Producer Buck, in any other era, Phil Mickelson would have been the best player in his era. Okay, so now we're going to move on to our main story of the day, which is the Gronk Party ship. I'm so excited about this story. Now, look, this story came out, obviously, I think it's a couple days ago. The basics on this are that Gronk's dad decided to put together a party ship. And so they put this ship together, and so you could pay $800 a ticket, and you could end up going on a 3-day cruise with the Gronk family. So can you imagine, Producer Buck? There you are. Can you imagine you're going on a cruise ship for vacation? You've been saving up for years to take your wife on this trip, Producer Buck. You've been shopping at the grocery outlet, drinking reused Lipton tea bags. Look, you've been pirating cable TV, all of this so that you could put some money together to go on a cruise ship. So you get ready, you go, you're at Norwegian Cruise Lines, and you're getting ready to join the cruise and get on the cruise. And then 800 of Gronk's favorite party friends show up for the same cruise that you're on. And that's exactly what happened to 1,200 people for the Gronk party ship. So the cruise ship, I guess, had about 2,000 guests on it. and 800 of them were there for Gronk's party, including ESPN's very own Sarah Spain of ESPNW. So we have some audio courtesy of ESPNW. Producer Buck, go ahead and play Sarah now.
Well, once you check onto the boat, you sort of get your bearings, and then everybody got to go take a photo with Rob. The professional photographer took shots of everybody on the boat with him. And then that night around 11 p.m., the beginning of the entertainment, which was Flo Rida, who did maybe 2.5+ hours of a concert with all the Gronk brothers partying on stage and dancing and hanging out with the fans in the crowd, dancing with the fans. And then Waka Flocka Flame and Red Foo went on around 2:30, playing several hours after that. I have to admit, I didn't make it all the way until whenever the Gronk family was done throwing down. But so it was, every night was sort of a series of concerts. Comedians, Finesse Mitchell and a couple other comedians performed. The Gronks did a family feud with against a handful of people from the boat. The Gronks did not win, unsurprisingly. They kept repeating themselves, and their answers were not the smartest, but they ended up getting to play the final feud round anyway, and everybody loved kind of watching and listening to them. So it was like a combination of sleeping a lot during the day. We stopped on Gronk's Party Island, which is just a private island owned by the cruise ship, for a DJ set and some flip cup and some dancing. And then people stopped on Nassau to go to Atlantis and, go snorkeling or swim with dolphins or stuff during the day. And then at night, a bunch of concerts and stuff. And the guys were really accessible. Flo Rida was teaching 60-year-old women how to dab.
So unbelievable. It sounds like it actually sounds like a great time. Can you imagine being on this cruise ship, Producer Buck? And first of all, great report by Sarah, and it's fantastic that she found her way onto the actual ship. But that being said, can you imagine actually being on this ship and there you are, you're hanging out with Flo Rida, and you see Flo Rida teaching, elderly people how to do, Producer Buck, Flo Rida's sitting there teaching your mom how to do the dab. I mean, it's just, it would be the most fantastic thing in the world to do. And for me, if I had sat there and saved up all my money and I'd been shopping at the grocery outlet and there I am and I'm suddenly on a cruise ship and Flo Rida's there and I've got Waka Flocka Flame jumping up on stage, giving a performance, I am in. I'm thinking this was worth all of those trips to the grocery outlet. I'm just saying. All right. So listen, one last quick story for everybody today on Thursday's edition of the Dave Dabbah Big Show. Look, we are so excited about this show. This show is starting to really take off. So do tell your friends about it. Subscribe to the iTunes channel. And we're going to leave you with this last story of the day. And this is, spring training is here. And for me, there's always this letdown after the National Football League season ends, between that and then the start of spring training. And then the NFL Combine or the Spandex Olympics kicks off. And I get excited again about sports. So my lull is over. And Yoenis Cespedes, who has a $400,000 Lamborghini, of course it's $400,000, right? Decided that he wanted some waffles. So here's what we learned about Yoenis Cespedes yesterday. He really loves waffles, and he will let others drive his Lamborghini in pursuit of waffles. So he gave his keys, his $400,000 keys to his Lamborghini, to a Mets employee. And he said, go find me a Oster waffle maker and all of the ingredients is needed so that I can create waffles. So she, this particular employee, Teresa, hopped in the Lamborghini and drove around in the Lamborghini all day looking for the waffle maker and ingredients. And then there's this great picture of her on Twitter, and she's walking out of the Lamborghini in her flip-flops, in her spring training kind of Mets shirt, and she's got her big purse and the waffle maker and all this other stuff. It's a fantastic story, and you got to give it to Yoenis Cespedes for easing us in to the Major League Baseball season with this particular story. I will say this: a couple weeks ago, my niece was in town, and she asked to drive my baby, which is my Porsche SUV, and she asked to drive it. She just got her driver's license, and she lives out in Phoenix. So I said, sure. How can you say no? So I agree with Yoenis. If you have a nice car, why not let other people drive it? Nice play, Yoenis Cespedes. You've earned the respect of the Dave Dabbah Big Show. All right, so listen, we want to hear from you, North America. Do you think Mike Mayock is smoking weed? Do you think the NBA should test out a 4-point line? Let us know what you think. Info at seat77.com. Send us your emails. Okay, I know it's been a long show. Producer Buck, we are blowing up. We are also on Stitcher, he wants me to tell you. And subscribe to the big iTunes channel and leave your comments when you have a chance. All right, that is Producer Buck, the silent one, for the Dave Dabbah Big Show. I'm Dave Dabbah, reminding you that not everyone can be a champion, but everyone can act like one can. And good luck, North America.